Hello. In this video, we're going to look at how to use the calibration ring scene that's included with an install of the Leapfrog Aspect app. So first of all, what we're going to take a look at is the settings. And what we want to do before we can really calibrate anything is make sure that our compass is calibrated internally. So that means that every time we fire up the app, we want to make sure that north is pointing north and that the magnetometer in the device is functioning correctly. So what we would do is if I go into the settings and tap on that calibrate button, it's going to show an animation for how to calibrate your device. So I'm not going to go through this for the purposes of this video, but basically you would follow the motions shown by the animation here. So rotate the device around its 3 axes 5 times each, and it should get the compass back to pointing north. So once that's done, we can close out of the settings panel for a moment just by tapping on the X there. And we see that we have a calibration ring viewer file. So I'm going to open up the only scene that's in that calibration ring viewer file, which is this AZI NFOV calibration ring, and it's going to bring it up here. And it's a real simple scene. It just shows a whole bunch of graduated lines around in a circle with one main line which represents the north arrow, if I can get my finger into the view here. So this line represents the north arrow. So what we need to do is make sure that that north arrow lines up with our true north based on our location. So what I have in front of me is a Brunton compass, and you can see that it's set pretty much to the 0 with the magnetic declination for my location set on the bezel. So it's pointing towards true north at this point. So what I'm going to do is bring my device down so that the camera is directly behind the Brunton, such that the line on the mirror and the pointer out front all kind of line up pretty well and are centered in the screen. So this is a pretty good little spot for it. Maybe I'll scooch a little closer to the compass. So you can see that my north is not lining up correctly. And if I go into my settings once again and scroll down to the visualizer settings, so my magnetic declination right now is set to 0. So what I'm going to do is kick that up. I know that my compass is set to 24 degrees for declination in this location, so I might try it at -20. So what this is going to do is it's going to rotate the view back, so the compass in the device thinks that it's pointing towards true north when it's in fact pointing towards magnetic north. So we have to move everything the opposite direction of the declination. So in other words, since my Brunton is set to 24 degrees positive, I need to pull everything back 24 degrees or so to the negative. But I'm going to try -20 first and see where that gets me. Exit out of settings, and I'll tap the menu icon to get back to the view. So already that's set me at a pretty close approximation. And the reason for this is that the magnetometers in these consumer grade devices just really aren't 100% accurate. So it's not going to be in most cases exactly spot on with what my Brunton's indicating. So I might dial this up a little bit more, go back into the settings, and I'll set this to -22. And we'll see what that ends up looking like. And that's pretty good. I don't think I need to tweak it any more than that. -22 seems to be a pretty good setting for this at this point, so I'll leave it at that. And this is one of those settings that you can really adjust at any point. So if your data isn't quite lining up where you would expect it to with real objects, you can always go in and kind of tweak your magnetic declination, or do this same process and bring out your Brunton and make sure that everything's lining up properly. So once we have that, the next thing that we want to set up, and these kind of go hand in hand, is the field of view adjustment. So if I go back into the settings panel, I can see that I have a camera field of view, this line here, that's going to dictate how much data I can see in my viewpoint at any moment. So right now it's set to 35. So if I close back out of settings and go back to my main view. What I want to do is find a spot, so like the corner of the room right there, for example, I have a line that's matching up with the corner of the room. And I want to make sure that it's centered in my display, just like it is now. And then what I'm going to do, and I might even set this on the table so that it's nice and smooth. Oh no, the table has some metal in it, so I can't do that. I'm gonna hold it in my hand, and I'm gonna slowly turn side to side, and that line should pretty much stay right on that corner. And so it looks good there. I can sweep back to the other side as well. Once the field of view is set, it doesn't matter which direction you go, it should pretty much line up no matter what. So I might change it a little bit, but that's pretty good. So the line more or less stayed in the right location. I'll show you what it looks like when the field of view is off. So I'm going to set it really high right now. So 72 is way too high for my device. So you can see right off the bat that the marking lines have gotten much smaller, and as I move side to side now, they don't really move with the scene. They stay kind of in place. They don't sweep around, and that line lining up with the corner doesn't stay in place. So I'm going to do the same thing here with the lower setting. So I'm going to set it down to 10, so significantly lower than it should be. And now the lines are substantially larger because everything is relatively closer to the display. And as I move the camera, you can see the objects move much more quickly off the screen. So that same line that should be lining up with the corner now just moves much faster than the camera feed. So if I set it back to 34, 35, somewhere in there, and go back to my view, I can see my line once again. So, and it should more or less, it's getting off by a couple of degrees, but for the most part, it should track that same object in the camera feed, should stay in line with the calibration line. And if it doesn't, you need to adjust your field of view settings. All right, so that's it for the calibration ring. I hope this helps, and certainly let anybody at Leapfrog Tech Support know if there's issues using this video or the Leapfrog Aspect product.